Welcome to the Sham Sharma Show. Today on the show, we talk about the completion of the first phase of the Chabahar Port, and we also talk about a dangerous game being played in the media when it comes to the Rajputs and this whole Padmavati issue. Happy Monday, everyone, and let's jump right into it. Hello, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Sham Sharma Show. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate you. Now, in our first story of the day, the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani inaugurated the completion of the first phase of the building of the Chabahar Port. Now, this triples the capacity of the Chabahar Port, and it also includes 5 new piers. 2 of these piers are actually capable of docking ships which have up to 100,000 tons capacity. Now again, just to recap, the Chabahar Port is a port in Iran, and it is being built by India and Iran jointly, and it will lead to increased trade between India, Iran, and a lot of the Central Asian countries, most importantly Afghanistan. Last year, India had already committed $500 million for the completion of the Chabahar Port and associated road and rail lines. There has also been a trilateral agreement on transport and transit corridor that has been signed by India, Afghanistan, and Iran. Now, I cannot emphasize enough how important this port is going to be for India and for Afghanistan, because for very long now, Pakistan has denied access to India to do trade with Afghanistan over its territories. So with the development of the Chabahar Port, India now completely bypasses Pakistan, and Afghanistan completely bypasses Pakistan when trading with each other. And this is important to see just from the regular Afghani person's point of view as well, because the Afghani people have been seeing that for the past quite a few years, it has been India who has been providing the aid money. It has been India who has been providing assistance in infrastructure development. It has been India who is trying to ensure that there is a stable and prosperous Afghanistan, and building the Chabahar Port is a further testament to that. So the Afghani people see that it's actually India who's deeply invested in creating a stable, prosperous Afghanistan and not Pakistan. It's clear for the Afghani people, if it hasn't been already, that in the long term, between India and Afghanistan, to choose which country is actually better for them, it's a no-brainer. It's India. And it's also important to kind of look at what countries like the United States and countries in Europe think about this as well, because as we know, the United States and Iran are quite at odds right now. But despite that, the US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson came to India last month, and he quite clearly stated that the US is not going to stand in the way of any developmental efforts or any efforts that will improve the lives of Afghans and that will improve the lives of the common Iranian people. So that's in line with the new Afghanistan and South Asia policy that Trump lined out as well, because it does call for more participation from India in developing a more stable Afghanistan. And the US saying that it will not stand in the way in India doing anything that will make Afghanis' lives better is a clear statement to Pakistan as well, that unless you stop supporting terrorism, unless you stop harboring terrorists in your country, we're happy to let India take the lead in the region. And we're happy to bypass you, and we're happy to develop a better relationship with India. And it's also sensible for the United States to develop a better relation with India, because that's the stable, secure democracy in that whole region. So again, this is great news, and this is something that we should be following very closely. And as the Chabahar Port develops and nears completion, we're going to cover it in the show as well. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is something that I feel is important to talk about, because in the media over the past few weeks, ever since this whole controversy has emerged about the Padmavati movie, there's been numerous articles in various newspapers questioning what the Rajputs have actually achieved. Like, what is Rajput pride all about? What have they ever actually achieved? When have they ever actually won any victories and things like that? And then the other problem that I have as well is what's happening with that. Different communities are now fighting different communities. Like I saw on Twitter and in certain articles, there are people who are saying, oh, hang on, what have the Sikhs achieved? And there are the Sikhs that are saying, oh, wait, hang on, what have the Rajputs achieved? And both of these are very problematic. So let's tackle the first thing first. Let's talk about what have the Rajputs actually achieved? What victories have they actually won? And what has been the outcome of their long struggle against the Mughals and against foreign invaders. So there have been many victories that the Rajputs have actually won. I'm going to go through just a few of them. Now, a lot of people know about the second battle of Tarain, where Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated by Ghori and killed. But what a lot of people don't realize is that there was a first battle of Tarain where Ghori was comprehensively defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan. But Prithviraj Chauhan, being the magnanimous leader that he was, spared his life and asked him not to come back. And unfortunately, that magnanimity and that honor in war has often come back to bite Hindu kings. Then let's talk about Maharana Hamir. Rana Hamir took the Chittorgarh fort from the governor that was appointed by Khiljis after they captured Chittorgarh. He also resoundingly defeated Muhammad Tughlaq and captured him. And in fact, Muhammad Tughlaq had to pay a huge ransom to secure his release. And he also had to relinquish a large part of Mewar to Rana Hamir. Then let's talk about Rana Kumbh. Rana Kumbh was another person who gave a very stout resistance to any Muslim incursions into the Rajput territory. He was one of the few people that actually utilized guerrilla tactics against Muslim invaders. The same tactics that were then perfected and used to rout the Mughals from throughout India by the Marathas. Now, the Vijay Stambh was erected by Rana Kumbh after he comprehensively defeated the combined armies of Malwa and Gujarat under Mahmud Khalji. Then let's talk about the legendary Rana Sanga. Rana Sanga scored several victories against the Lodhis. He also fought the ethnic Afghans under Lodhi at Katoli, where despite suffering serious injuries, he won the battle and captured quite a fair bit of land. He was, of course, defeated by Babur, but after his defeat, he still wanted to go back and get revenge, and he was organizing army when he fell ill and died. Then let's talk about Maharana Pratap, who was in a very difficult situation where he had lost a lot of territory and he had been forced to retreat. And in his case, it would have been very easy to get allied with the Mughals and to plead fealty to the Mughals and get a very high-ranking position in the Mughal court, get a wonderful castle and get plenty of land and live out his life quite comfortably. However, he decided to then go ahead and fight the Mughals tooth and nail until Mewar was free from them. He actually managed to do that, except for getting the Chittorgarh fort. He used guerrilla tactics to be able to fight the Mughals and gain a lot of territory in Mewar as well. Now, the important thing to remember here is there are two big lessons here. The first big lesson is that there were victories and there were defeats, but the most important thing was that the Rajputs did not stop fighting. And that's the most important lesson that we must take from the Rajputs, that despite what happened, they never stopped fighting. The reason there are still Hindus in Rajasthan is because they never stopped fighting. And this is why it's important as well, because not just them, the Marathas, the Sikhs, the Ahoms in the northeast, and the Vijayanagar Empire in the south, they all did their part. They all fought tooth and nail to preserve India and to preserve its land, to preserve its people, to preserve its culture. And that leads me into the second problem that's happening with this is the infighting. Is because a lot of defeats that people suffered from foreign invaders in India is due to that infighting and due to betrayals by our own people. You know, there's a saying in Hindi, it says, Ghar ka bhedi lanka dhai. And that's been a very common problem, unfortunately, in Indian history. You know, the Marathas gave such a strong resistance to the Mughals. The Rajputs did, the Sikhs did, the Ahoms did, the Vijayanagar Empire did. But in a lot of cases, they did that separately. You know, imagine a united front of Marathas, Rajputs, and Sikhs that fought consistently against Mughal invaders, and they wouldn't have had a chance. And that's the biggest lesson that we must take from our history, is that a united front is invincible. Time and again in our history, we have suffered defeat, and time and again in our history, we have faced so much suffering because we just haven't been able to present a united front. And in today's India, in 2017, we have an unprecedented opportunity because India is one politically now. And it is time that we let go of the regional hang-ups that we have. You know, I'm from Bihar and I lived in Delhi for quite a while, and there was this animosity between people from Delhi and people from Bihar. And I can understand, you know, some friendly competition and some friendly banter, that's fine. But that animosity, that needs to be let go. Because we're in a phase of history where we cannot afford any more defeats. So instead of questioning what certain communities have done and certain communities have not done, because every community has done their part in keeping India the way it is, rather than doing that, it's important to try and let go of our regional hang-ups and try and present a united front, because with a united front, India is invincible. And I know that it's easier said than done. I know it's not that easy, but It's something to think about. It's some food for thought. It's something that we can start to work towards. And with social media, it gives us such an unprecedented opportunity to be able to do that, to be able to let go of those regional hangups. I'm already seeing it in such a large case with the way the Indian right is organizing and supporting each other. We must create a community where we stand as one. And that's what I'm trying to do with this show as well, to build a community and to create a voice that can then balance out the voice of the left, which has always been very loud and very clear. All right, now today's a shorter show, but I do want to end the show with the YouTube video of the day. And today's video is pretty much a doozy, guys, because it was a no-brainer to put this one in, because Marvel last week launched the trailer for Infinity War. It's kind of a teaser trailer, but it's a really good trailer. For the first time, it brings in the Guardians of the Galaxy to actually interact and work with the Avengers. And you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy is a movie that is one of my favorite movies from the Marvel Universe. And I'm pretty excited for this movie. And the trailer is provided in the description below. So I would really recommend you go check that out. All right, and that's the show. Hey, thank you very much for watching today's show. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great Monday and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Again, the goal of this show is to create a community, a common community for the right, where we can then challenge the status quo and where we can then balance out a skewed conversation that skews very heavily to the left right now. So I hope that if you're enjoying what I do and if you're enjoying what the show does, that you will like the show, that you will share the show, and that you will be able to tell as many people as you can about the show, and that you subscribe to the show's channel if you haven't already. We're going to be back again on Wednesday with the brand new stories of the day to make sure we keep you updated. And also, I've also started a brand new show with opindia.com. It is called The Recap, and it recaps the top stories of the day that we think it's important that you should know. And that drops either on a Friday or a Saturday this week, so make sure you keep an eye out on that and go check out the Op India YouTube channel as well. Again, thank you very much for watching. I will see you on Wednesday, and until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.